Hi everybody, it's Nicole. I'm back today to kind of finish off a layout I started last week on my channel and had some scraps left over, so I thought I would use them today on this project for Vicky Booten. So I have some gold glaze here that I've watered down quite a bit. I have quite a, you don't need a lot of glaze for this, but I did add quite a bit of water. And I'm gonna have a piece of her foundations paper, so I'm just making sure there's no pieces on there. And I'm just gonna drip that on there and kind of drag it with my acetate sheet. I'm not really doing the kissing technique. I'm literally just dragging that gold glaze and I'm adding a little bit more water here and just pulling that down with my sheet. I'm kind of adding more water kind of to clean off my acetate sheet, but also to kind of just move that glaze. I kind of just want a smear, I guess, of that. I'm just dipping my paintbrush in now into some clear water and I'm just tapping on any of those kind of harsh lines from the dragging that I did. I'll do a little bit of the kissing technique just to kind of clean that up a bit. And in hindsight, I wish I hadn't done that, but that's okay. I'm going to cover up a lot of this anyway, so that's fine. I'm going to take a paper towel and just dab off any sort of harsh lines that might still be there. And then I'm going to use some water to clean up my desktop because as you can see, I have gold glaze kind of everywhere now. So I'm going to let this kind of dry a little bit. And then I realized I wanted to kind of have it look more of like a bit of a wash than it does. So I'm just going to add a thin layer of gesso over top. And I thought about adding glitter. I added some of the chunkier gold glitter of Vicky's. And the gesso will kind of stick it on there like a bit of a glue, but I'll be honest, I end up covering most of it anyway, so you could probably leave that out. I'm going to use my heat tool just to kind of dry this a little bit. I do like the wash here much better with the gesso over top. Gesso is kind of like a thin, almost like really thinned out paint texture to it, and it really is meant for you to add other color or pigments to the top. But I used it in this case just to kind of wash out some of that glaze. I didn't want it to be super shiny, and it adds just a nice thin layer. So again, I don't know why I added that glitter. It was a good thought, but I'm going to cover most of it anyway. I am going to go ahead and add some black droplets, but as you can see, some of my areas were still quite wet, so that caused a huge disaster. But I'm going to cover that part up anyway, so no harm, no foul in this case. But just make sure that if you want to do that, that you make sure that that gesso is really, really dry. So I'm going to go ahead again with my heat tool and trying to kind of fix it up a little bit and dry it off. So I feel like I'm confidently dry now that I can go ahead and kind of work on my page. As you can see, I have some leftover scraps from a project I did last week for Vicky. I have a rainbow of rectangles here that I'm going to use and some squares. And I'm really just putting them on my page horizontally in a Roy G. Biv kind of pattern. I am going to start off with the big rectangles and then add the small squares that I have cut down in the same kind of color groupings. And I don't want to fill the whole page, I just want to kind of fill that middle central part. I realized that I wasn't using the B side, so once I started flipping some of those over, I had even more patterns in those same kind of color families to use. So I went ahead and did that and just swapped out some of the colors. I didn't want to have too many of the same repetitive patterns. So once I was happy with those selections, I'm just gonna add a little bit of adhesive to stick this in place because I will add some sewing with my sewing machine later. I'm going to stick each of these rows down. Again, not using a lot of adhesive, just more to kind of keep it where it is so when I sew it doesn't all move around willy-nilly. So again, I really love the rainbow kind of texture in this, so it's going to be a really fun kind of project. And really easy because I didn't have to cut any of this. That was all cut last week when I did my other project. So anytime you have little scraps, these are 1.5 inch squares and 1.5 by 3 inch rectangles. To me, I don't throw those away. You can do a whole lot with that. So now I have a couple photos. I'm gonna put on some black cardstock. I had already put foam tape to the back of them, but I really thought I needed something to map them just so they wouldn't get lost on the background there. So I'm just gonna add those photos each to just a strip of plain black cardstock just to get a little bit of a mat around each of them, and then I'll add that foam back again to the back of each of those photos and then get the photos down onto the page. I'm going to add these on a slight angle just to kind of offset these strips that I have going on there. My paper is a little bit warped, and had I been a little smarter, I really would have let this dry longer and run that through my Mink machine to actually get rid of that curve, but That's okay. I didn't need to do that. So I'm kind of going through my other papers to see if there's anything I want to add. I think I'm going to just stick with some of the chipboard here from one of the chipboard packs from Vicky, and then the puffy stickers as well, and then use quite a bit of the die cuts and the stickers from the Storyteller collection to kind of finish things off. I stuck down this banner. I'm going to move it later on, but I really love this one because it has that kind of tile-like pattern on it that's in the collection. And then I realized I had these really cool butterflies that are already layered and stitched for me. So I'm going to use almost the entire, well, half the pack, I guess, of those. And then I'm going to rip into my embellishments and kind of pick some things here to see if I can find something to inspire my title. In the tag ephemera, there's these really cool letters, numbers, combinations. So my daughter's 11. I wanted to use 11 as the title. There's only one card in this collection. And to be honest, I have 2 packs of this die cut, so I'm going to go ahead and grab the second one from another die cut pack. But I really love that card because it's really a nice neutral on the craft, and it has a lot of the different little colors I have already in the rest of the layout. So it's kind of a nice, big, bold title that I'm going to use. So I will grab another one from my other die cut set in a minute, but I'm going to go ahead and rip into all my other die cuts and get those into some zip baggies. I haven't done that yet, and kind of just go through to see if there's anything else I might be able to add to this project as well. I thought about adding some of the butterflies because there's some really cool butterfly die cuts, but I've done a couple pages lately with butterflies, and I thought it might just be a little too much overkill, so I'm going to put those back. The big butterflies anyway. I will use those small layered ones because I feel like they'll cascade nicely on this project. I'm going to move just that banner for the moment, and I'm going to go ahead and grab a second number 1 and foam square that up so that it pops up in line with my photos there, and kind of just add that in between both of my photos. So I'm going to add a couple staples to the tag just to add a little bit of extra, just a little zhuzh. And I'm going to move that banner now just slightly under my title so that it kind of just tucks between my title and my photo. And this is where those butterflies are going to be good, just to kind of tuck in between the open gaps there. So I'm going to use 3 of them, I think, to cascade across. And then I really want to pull out some of this washi. I love that floral washi in the Storyteller washi set. It is my favorite. And I love this stripe because it brings in just a lot of the colors there with that really cool purple. So I'm going to add that and maybe a slight bit of gold. I love this gold. It's shiny, but not super shiny. So I'm going to add that here beside my card just to add a little bit of extra. Put away these extra die cuts I pulled. Decided not to use a lot of those. And now I'm going to go to this sticker book. The sticker book has like, I think 6 or 8 really great stickers. They're smaller, but there's a lot of options. So like, I love these little sentiment stickers because you can just use those to fill in any sort of gaps. And then I'm going to go ahead and add some embellishments that are tone on tone to the colors kind of across my rainbow that I've built. So I'm going to start with this larger heart here and a smaller purple heart just beside it. And then I'll do the same on the left side in the reddish pink area with that other heart that kind of has that same kind of reddish pink color. And then add some pink and red stickers in that sort of color grouping. So I'm going to try to just pick some of those embellishments in the same color sections as the strips that are behind. So here you can see some of the details of that. I added some stitching once I got all those papers down. I really love those big cards as the title. I think that's just a really fun, vintagey almost feel to it. And I love the papers, and I love that I created something with just my extras. So I hope you like this one, and I'll see you guys very soon. Bye-bye.